Good morning. My name is Heath. I'm a health and learning coach, and this is a video for the Active in Redbourne initiative during the lockdown. And this week's topic is grounding for health and well-being. Thank you for joining me last week for the laughter call, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you're feeling down at all, I do recommend you come back to listen to that one again, because it's got quite an infectious giggle on it, and you should be able to, if you can manage to laugh about something that's going wrong, then that's really going to help your day. My topics are normally breathing and mindfulness, and just to tell you how this fits in, breathing is a vital part of grounding. It's the most important component of being able to get grounded. And grounding is like super fast mindfulness that you can do in minutes or seconds. And actually what I prefer to call it is mind emptiness, because I would much rather have my mind empty and clear than absolutely full. So notice how you are at the moment. Just take a look at that picture of trees and rivers and the reflection of the trees in the river. And while I'm talking, just notice how that picture is just making you feel. From time to time, and including many of the air experts that we've been doing videos with, you'll have heard them mentioned grounding or grounded. And so what I'm going to do is give you a short, about 20-30 minute description of what grounding is, why grounding is so important, what it is, and how to do it. Grounding is another one of those things that I wish I'd learned about earlier. I spent many, many years of my life being ungrounded, and it's not very good for your physical body. And so notice how you are at the moment. Look into that picture, really sink into the picture, and notice any difference. And when this is up on Facebook, I'd be very happy for you to ask me questions, and I will endeavour to answer them on Facebook. So who do you think is more grounded? Is it a tree or a person? Now that amazing root structure below that tree is how a tree gets physically grounded. And if it hasn't got an amazing root structure, it's more than likely to fall over if the winds are very high and they've still got leaves on the tree. Humans can be energetically grounded in just the same way, through gravity. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first question that people often ask me is, why should I be interested in grounding? I have a Calm app on my phone, and they came up with just a statement to me the other day. They text and said, with a calm and clear mind, the grip of stress loosens. And I just thought that was a lovely statement that I would pass on to you. There is so much happening at the moment. It's really difficult with the fast pace of change, the fast pace of people's whole lives changing. It's difficult to remain stable. Grounding is your ability to feel connected to the ground and to others, and it calms your nervous system and that anxiety. Some people might use other words for it. They may have things like centered, or feeling comfortable, or being fully integrated into your body, or grounding, or grounded, balanced, or connected to earth. Basically, they all mean the same thing, and it's just a question of what works best for you. I worked with a girl some time ago who was some sort of martial arts or wrestler, and I was trying to get her grounded. And when I used the word grounded, she looked absolutely vague. And I said, "Well, do you have the same thing in your sport?" And she said, "Well, I think we call it centered." And I went, "Oh, possibly." So we used her word for it. It's also highly contagious and catching. So if you're in your family, you've got one person who is grounded, then the rest of the family might catch that and also be relaxed and calm. Alternatively, if somebody gets really upset about something, other people in the family might well catch it and so they become ungrounded also. And it is instantaneous. It can be just like a switch, absolutely instantaneous, from going from a calm state, then something really upsets you, and you go into an ungrounded, really anxious state. It's normal in sport, so think of grounding as being very normal. Um, in sport, in sports, there's lots of ways you see grounding. Somebody playing golf, they take a golf club, walk up to the ball, and then they wiggle around until they're firmly connected to the ground, and then they make a shot. In rugby, when you're kicking a conversion, people get really, really centered before they go and kick the ball. And of course, if you're a high diver into the pool, if you want to do a backward handstand up 10 meters in the air, then you're going to want to be grounded, or else you're just going to fall into the pool. So what I want to do is make sure that everybody knows that grounding is just really normal. Some people see grounding as very esoteric. In my view, it's extremely practical and it's extremely down to earth. And that's what we want. It's in the expression, it's down to earth. So let's explore what people know. When a child is born, then they will have met grounding through their parents. In the case of pre-birth, it'll be through their mum. So if their mum's a really grounded person during whilst they're pre-birth, then they'll have probably got some sense of grounding. But on the other hand, they're actually in a fluid sac, so they'll be able to move around anyway. Post-birth, parents are carrying their children around. And so either mum is carrying them around or dad. And so what you'll find is that if you're a really calm parent, then you're going to shift that calmness. They will entrain, is the word, they will entrain that calmness and feeling of being grounded to the baby. And of course, when you put a baby in a cot on its own, that's when gravity becomes the first sense that they have to deal with when they're born, basically, because they're now on their own. They haven't got somebody else to ground through, and so they've got to develop their grounding skills. And grounded parents can make a huge difference. And if you look at children in a playground of nursery age, you'll see that when they try running, they tend to be a bit wobbly and all over the place. And very soon, as they get more practiced and they get stronger, you'll see them starting to run like adults. And that's when you can be sure that they really are grounded. Adults may spend their whole life ungrounded. I have met many who have been ungrounded for life, including me for many years. And people use expressions like they're climbing up the walls or they're not really here. Those are the sort of expressions you hear people saying. And what's it like to be that ungrounded internally? Well, you feel very muddled, you feel very wobbly, you can feel very confused, and as that little lad looks like there, he's taking off from the planet. And I've even met people who are actually deaf when they're ungrounded. I had a client once when I was doing a workshop in Holland where she was wearing 2 hearing aids, and she was really ungrounded. She had an autoimmune disease, and that's quite often related to being ungrounded. And as I was talking to her and trying to help her get grounded, she suddenly took her hearing aids out of both ears and said, "I can hear you now." She said, "I haven't been able to hear without those for years." There is a lot of research for children on things like weighted blankets, but actually you can just try that yourself. What does it feel like when you're underneath a blanket or a couple of blankets or even 3 blankets? What does that feel like to you? What does it feel like to you when you're in bed under a heavy duvet? Those are the techniques that people are producing products for, to actually help people feel more grounded. And there's quite a lot of research about those. There's almost no research about how you can feel grounded yourself without the need of extra products. So what gets people ungrounded? The obvious thing is aeroplane travel, where you're disconnected from the Earth, 35,000 feet above the Earth, and you're not accessing gravity. Stress creates blocks in your energy system, and so if you're upset about something, you can start getting blocks, and then it gets even more difficult to get grounded. And all the busyness type stuff and panic and all of those things, you'll find if a change is overwhelming and demanding too much energy, the best thing you can do is to feel safe in your body and physically grounded. And of course, there's an expression which is get me out of here. And when somebody is in danger, and what are they then trying to do? They're trying to just be ungrounded and go. So you might try this little technique for a moment. Place your hands on your heart and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. If you're feeling anxious, just feel anxious. If you're feeling angry, just feel angry. Then get all those thoughts out of your head and all those amazing thoughts through your body, preferably moving them down through your body, because the overwhelm is happening in or above your head. So let's compare this to the non-humans in the world. Think of seeds to start with. A seed you plant in the ground, it grows little roots down into the ground, then it grows little green shoots above, and then it grows more roots down into the ground and more green shoots above. So what it's doing is accessing the earth in just the same way as a tree to get its nutrition up from the ground and its waste products down into the ground. When trees lose the earth around their roots, then they can become truly unstable as well. And gravity is known by every single animal and insect, because birds fly up the right way, insects fly up the right way. When animals are born, they learn very quickly what gravity is about. And of course, the foundations of a building are really important. And if the building hasn't got good foundations, it's going to be affected by events of like strong winds or earthquakes or whatever around them. And of course, there's the electrical grounding for safety. We all know that in the UK we have a 13 amp In the UK, we have a 13 amp ring main throughout buildings, and the third connection is a grounding connection. And if that grounding is not stable, then your electrical system is not going to be stable. So let's try a little bit of mindfulness on the tree roots for ourselves. And I'm going to give you a quick visualization to go through. So you can stand up if you like, or you can sit down, doesn't matter. You'll just find it easier to notice how stable you are. Think of all those things that you have to do today or this week. Check how stable you feel. You can feel wobbly externally, or you can feel actually wobbly internally. Where are all those things? They're likely to be in or above your head. Bring them down into your body. Now bring your attention to the soles of your feet, with your toes and heels against the ground. Imagine you have tree roots growing out of your feet, right down to the center of the earth and spreading right out. Now breathe in through your nose to the count of maybe 4, and then out through your nose to the count of 4. Breathe right down into your belly, opening up like a bellows with your diaphragm moving. Relax into your feet and imagine releasing any stress into the ground through the roots on the out breath. Then imagine bringing up all the earth's nutrients and strength into your body on the in breath. Check how stable that makes you feel. So keep releasing what you don't want into the ground and bringing nutrients that you do want into your body to run through every cell of your body until you feel quite stable and present in your body. You might use the word solid. Now let me give you a bit of science, just a little bit. Getting grounded is a journey. It can be quite instant for people, but it's something you have to develop, get better at, and over time you will get better at. The Earth has its own electrical charge, abundant with antioxidants and free radical reducing electrons that come into your body and do all sorts of great things. So stepping on the Earth with bare feet allows the body to receive these electrons and potentially reducing inflammation, stress, pain, improving sleep and enhancing well-being. Grounding is the overlooked answer to inflammation, which is a central health issue. Earthing restores and maintains the human body's most natural electrical state for optimum health. And as a friend of mine said, it's your membership card to planet Earth. Just talking about bare feet for a minute, from the remit of reflexology, the sole or plantar surface of your foot has some 1,300 nerve endings per square inch. That's enormous. Several of your body's energy channels will penetrate major organs of your body are found in your feet and your toes. So to ensure we can access the Earth's energy, it is essential to connect to it, which is why bare feet is so useful. Eunice Ingram, who is recognized as the mother of modern reflexology, which is basically a massage system for your feet, states, the nerves in your body may be likened to an electrical system. It will be our ability to make normal contact with the electricity of the ground through our feet and from the elements or atmosphere surrounding us, which will determine the degree of power we are able to manifest in the proper functioning of our system. Trying to get normal contact when there is congestion in these nerve terminals in our feet is like trying to put a plug in a defective socket. So what we want you to do is to slowly develop your own skills for grounding so that you're not trying to put plugs into defective sockets. So what helps people get grounded? There is lots and lots of things, and I do recommend that you find the ones that work for you. I think grounding is a pretty personal thing, and I can give you lots of examples, but when you find the one that really works for you, you will find it's a minor miracle for you. And thanks to the Breathe magazine for that lovely picture on the right-hand side of feet. Adults sometimes know about grounding. If they don't know about grounding, it's more than likely their children won't know about grounding. There are various techniques, as I say, there's dozens of them. There is like mindfulness, there is yoga, there is Pilates, and you will hear almost all of our Pilates and yoga teachers talking about grounding from time to time during their sessions. There's soothing music. There is, what I'm talking about is consciously getting your feet firmly planted on the floor with no shoes on, and preferably firmly planted on the earth if you can manage to do that. The sun's shining again today, so walking out on the grass really is beneficial. This is one of the most powerful ways to get grounded. You can touch the earth with your bare feet, or even touching the earth with your hands can be really useful. So you want full, deep, gentle breaths, like I've been talking about every week, in through your nose, out through your nose, and right down to your diaphragm. And that's what you want to be doing on all day long. And of course, long walks in nature are helpful if you can manage to do that. And a few more ways to get grounded. As I say, there is hundreds of them. I have a pack of cards which I bought some years ago, which they just give you little tips on each card. And here's the one for rediscover gravity. And what they're suggesting there is that you just stand still, put your arm up above your head, and then bring it down again. And notice gravity. Try it out a couple of times for yourself, noticing gravity. Incidentally, if you haven't been grounded, you may find tingling in your legs starts to pop up. Don't worry about it. It's just the energy flowing and the grounding improving. You can wash your hands. Now we're all doing a lot of washing our hands at the moment. And so whilst you're washing your hands, the water's going to help you get grounded. And you can also do a simple grounding exercise of the tree roots, for example, while you're washing your hands, just to remind your body to do it frequently. And of course, you can walk into earth, which I've been talking about. And these pack of cards, there's 52 of them, so I can guarantee you're going to find something that works for you in the 52 different ways of getting grounded. We did the tree roots earlier. I'd like to give you another one now, which is one of my favorites. And it takes like 10 seconds. If I feel a bit wobbly, and I've been out running this morning, so I did actually feel a bit wobbly while I was running. So I would just stop and think the following for a moment. Nobody has to know what you're doing. You can just do this on your own. Every cell in your body has a point of light in it. Well, it should have. When you get ungrounded, they tend to get a bit disconnected. So just stand still with your hands down, sitting in a strong position, and think of every cell in your body and think of lining up every point of light in them and connecting the two together. And for me, that normally means that I'm bringing down the points of light into my cells, into every cell of my body. And just see what that feels like as well. We all know hydration is very important, and I found this little diagram which I thought was really interesting, that when we're a fetus before we're born, we've got 100% of water in the human body. Around the time we're born, we're down to about 80%, which I was quite shocked was so low. Normal adult human being is about 70%, but as we get older, we're down to about 50%. So it's really important that we keep consuming water, because all the water we release in perspiration or other bodily functions then is going out. And so we've got to replace that every day, and preferably to limit our long-term problems with lack of water. We need to drink more than we're replacing. Labyrinths is another thing that I just show here is a picture of a labyrinth. The labyrinths are not mazes. Labyrinths, there is only one way in and only one way out, so you can't get lost. And I have to mention that in the churchyard in St Mary's in Redbourne, we now have an actual labyrinth drawn out on the grass, which I was walking the other day. And it's very grounding, a labyrinth, that's the first thing. And the second thing is that it's very good for right-left brain integration, because you will notice it's continuously taking you through rights and lefts and rights and lefts. And so do try a labyrinth. Interestingly, people often don't know when they become ungrounded, and my experience is if I become ungrounded, I actually don't realize that I'm ungrounded until sometime later, when I've got back grounded, that I look back and go, oh, I was not grounded when I was doing that. So remind yourself as often as possible about grounding and about some of these techniques. Just give you an image for a bit of a visualization at the end of this is What does grounding look like? Just think about what you're trying to create. You're trying to create a picture. It might be a video, it might be a still picture, it might be a sound, a feeling, or even a taste and a smell. So what is your perfect picture of being grounded, and what does it feel like? It'll be something along the lines of calm, gentle, deep breathing, well rested, comfortable environment, rested sleep. Absolutely great for grounding, to be having a really restful sleep, and strength in your body. So thank you all for joining me. That's my name, Olive Hickmott. If you want to get in touch, that's the way to do it. Do message me or email me if you want any more grounding tips. This video is up on Facebook, Active in Redbourne, so you can just message me there. And I also should say, I keep saying to people during this series for me, is that I wrote a book a few years ago called You Too Can Do Health, and I have some extra copies of it here. If anybody in Redbourne would like a free copy, just message me, and I'm very pleased to deliver you one completely free. It's a metaphoric story about regaining health through learning skills and the power of your mind. And you'll find it relates a lot to these sessions I do on a Thursday morning. So thank you all for listening, and speak again next week. Next week I'm going to do a session about sleep. And so if you would like some tips about getting to sleep and staying asleep, then please do join me next week. That's 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning. Thank you.